What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some of the best NFL Week 9 route running. We're going to be talking about Julio Jones running this post out. We're going to be talking about how to attack leverage off the line. We're going to be talking about Jerry Jeudy snapping on a dime, how you guys can get in and out of a break. And then we're going to be looking at a route from Juju Smith. We're going to be talking about how to run a corner post and how to angle a double move. Okay, so I hope this video gives you guys some value. Some great routes ran this past week in the NFL, and let's get started. And also, guys, if you're a receiver and you don't have a quarterback to throw to you and you want to get better hands, check out that link in the description. It says improve your hands in 30 days, full 30-day catching program, no quarterback necessary. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this post out, right? Or commonly known as like a blaze out. So this blaze out or this post out, it's real important that we make sure that we sell post, and when we break it back to this out route, I spend as least amount of time possible at this out break. Okay, so let's watch it full speed, then we'll break it down. So he's coming out here. Breaks to the post, Julio snaps those eyes around, commits those hips, commits those shoulders, and has speed into the break, and he's able to snap it off and get out right now. So Julio's a very, very dangerous route runner, mainly because of his size, right? He's such a mismatch downfield and his speed. So it's always going to be a threat going over the middle in like in a goal line situation, or when we're down tight, we're almost in the red zone. Always going to be a threat over the middle. So he knows that he's got to sell that, right? So when I close the distance with a DB and I break this thing off to this post, first thing that snaps around is what? His eyes, right? But everybody loves to say, oh, your eyes got to go, your eyes got to sell, your eyes got to sell, your eyes got to sell. If I'm a DB, right, look where this DB's watching, hips, right? If I look back for the ball and my hips and shoulders are drifting upfield, but I'm looking back, that's not going to get a DB to bite, right? You need three things to complete this whole double move sell, like whether it's a post corner post, whatever it is. We're going to talk about it with the corner post later with Juju, is you got to sell with your upper ass, so your shoulders got to commit, your hips got to commit, and then your speed has to commit. So it's eyes, torso, and then speed. Because if you just go into a break and you snap those eyes around and you snap those shoulders, but then your feet start chopping, it's a dead giveaway that you're not running a post. I want everything about this to look like a post, because that's what's going to get this guy to commit, and that's what's going to get this guy to jump down on this thing and try to make this play over the top. So I got to make sure that I commit my shoulders, commit my eyes, and commit my speed into this break, right? So now, how do I change direction out of this break? The most important thing when you guys have speed into this post out of this blaze out, and you guys got speed to the post, is being able to decelerate with your hips, not slowing yourself down. So you see how Julio comes out here and he snaps this thing off, right? It goes 3 steps. So he breaks out the post, 1, 2, 3, and he snaps on this inside leg, right? Because he's going to snap with this inside leg. He's going to pivot his right leg almost where you see where this arrow is pointed. That's almost how he's going to pivot this leg. So let's talk about it. He's going to snap, he's going to pivot the left, he's going to hook the right, and that's going to drive him back towards the sideline to get out in 3 steps. We did a good job selling this thing to get this DB to commit. Now I just got to make sure that I get out fast, I create some explosion with my hips, and that explosion that I create at the top of the break, that's why you see receivers, you always hear people say, oh, you got to get low. That's to create explosion. You don't want to beat the drum, you don't want to chop your feet into it. You want to be violent, you want to snap down. That's what they call this. So when we snap down, you see how it's in stride. He's not shortening up his stride, it's in stride. And you see how his chin is going to his knee and his hips are violent, but his hips aren't too low, right? He's not sitting back on his heels. His hips are at parallel or just below parallel. That's where we want to try to be, and chin to my knee so I don't turn out of this break. What a lot of people do is they'll get into a break, but their back will be straight, and they try to turn their in this case, they'll try to turn their left shoulder out of it like this way. The problem with that is that makes us slow. We don't have any explosion. When you get your chest down like this and you bring your chin to your knee, quote unquote, that allows you to run out of it rather than to turn out of it. You don't want to turn out of anything, because that means you popped up and you don't have any explosion. But if I generate explosion with my hips, I get my chest going forward and I get my chin to my knee, I'm in a position where I could run out of this thing and I could generate some force to the sideline. So you see how he snaps, and what does he do with the second step? He pivots like we were talking about, and then he hooks back around with the third step, because that third step is what drives him out again. So now we're already running out of it. Anybody can get space at the top of the route, but can I keep space? Can I continue to run my arms? Can I continue to widen the distance with this DB? And that's exactly what Julio does. That's a great route. That's exactly how you're supposed to run a post out, blaze out, whatever you want to call it. Let's watch it again full speed one more time. So he's coming off here, brace to the post, 1, 2, 3, snap it off, make sure I run out of there, create energy with your hips. All right, so now we're going to be taking a look at this right here. Off the line, you want to make sure that you are attacking leverage and attacking the midline of a DB. So that's what we're going to be focusing on here. So for a goal line fade, when we're in a man coverage situation, right, and he's not going to try to get hands on me here, and he's going to be playing kind of like this catch technique. He wants me to come out so he could get hands and disrupt the timing. He's not going to be a physical jam right here. Where do we want to attack? Especially like let's say it's like a different situation. Let's say the DB's lined up like inside shade, or maybe he's outside shade. Maybe he's got safety help. The point that we want to attack is his midline, right? Because if I can attack his midline, he's got to make a decision, especially when he's walked down like this and decides not to get hands, right? Usually when a DB's walked down like this, he's going to get hands. So if I can attack him and I try to make him on the defensive and I try to get him to bail out of there, that just allows me to maybe make a quick move and then go, right? So I got to make sure that I'm making him make a decision. That's the goal. Anytime you guys are off the line, we got to make the DB make a decision. Make him either play a discipline so I can make him pay with something else later, or make him commit to it so I can beat him on this right now, right? So I attack his midline here. The midline is just a line that's going down the middle of his body. So he could either make two decisions here. He could either sit in his base and try to get hands. I got a plan for that. I just fight his hands. I know I want to take an outside release, so I just got to beat this outside hand. Or he could back up on those heels, and he could be sitting here. And then Perryman does a great job of coming off the line, giving him this little shake and get him on those heels, attacking his leverage, and makes him stumble a little bit, and now I can create some separation on this route simply because I attacked his leverage. You want to square up a DB, you want to threaten a DB, you want to attack that midline, attack that inside shoulder in some cases, to get him on his heels, to force him to make a decision, to either sit there and try to hand fight and get physical, or to back up and try to play you, and then I can make him move, and then I can make him miss with my upper half and give him that quick little shake or a quick jab to the inside or a quick move to the outside, maybe break back in. It all depends on kind of the route we're working in the situation. There's not one way to do it, but the main thing that stays consistent with a lot of these guys is that they make sure they attack leverage and they attack the midline of the DB. That's a great route. Let's watch it again, full speed one more time. So he comes off here, attacks that leverage, gives him a little shake, get him to stumble a little bit, make sure I accelerate up and catch this ball over the top. Great route there by Perryman. All right, so now we're going to be looking at this route from Jerry Jeudy. I'm sure all of you saw this. We're going to be talking about how he runs this stop route, how he's able to sell vertical, and then how he's able to get upfield, right? And this is something that I broke down yesterday. So the main things that we're going to talk about here is off the line when he bursts up vertical, right? Everybody talks about selling fade. And this is review if you guys saw this video yesterday, but it's always good to review that he wants to keep his chest down, stay in the same stride, pump those arms, and make sure that we're making everything about this look like a fade, right? Jeudy's a pretty fast guy, right? So obviously he's a vertical threat. Then no DB wants to get beat over the top, especially when he's inside leverage man coverage. He wants to force him to the outside, do his job, get hands, and be physical, right? So Jeudy has to make his guy believe. So when I come out here and everybody's like, oh, sell fade, what does that mean? Same stride, pump those arms, good pad level. Don't slow down and chop your feet into a break. You want to be able to snap on a dime and be sudden when you snap down on this route, right? So you see Jeudy's running here. He's pushing vertical, staying in stride. Now when he throws that hand up like that, somebody commented on the video yesterday that that's like Jerry Rice, something that Jerry Rice used to do all the time, right? Jerry Rice would throw that hand up to act like he's calling for this ball, get this guy to commit to the fade. You see how we got his hips committed? If I get his hips committed and he's in a situation where he does not have hands, I can do pretty much anything I want with him at this point. I could snap it off and run a comeback. He'd be in trouble. I could snap it off and run a dig. I could just go on fade, right? When he doesn't have hands, it's very, very hard for him to win, right? I did a clinic one time, a coaching clinic, and they said 70% of the time, this is at University of Oregon, 70% of the time that a DB got hands on the receiver, they would win. That means 7 out of 10 reps, if the DB's got hands on him, they would win the rep. I don't like those odds, right? So we got to make sure that we're playing in a space where he doesn't have hands, and when he does get hands, we swat him by, which is exactly what Jeudy does. So you see how he peeks back now. That peek back sells the fade even more. I throw that hand up, I beat him on the vertical, I peek back for that ball, trying to get this DB to commit, trying to get this DB to think, oh shit, the ball's coming. I got to make a play on this thing. I want to play his hands. I got to make sure that I'm making a good play. I time this thing correctly, then bam. I snap down with my inside leg because this is a stop route, right? So everybody always asks me, what leg should I snap with? Which leg should I snap with? I wouldn't say that there's like, oh, you must snap with this leg. What I teach is this leg right here on this type of a route. I teach the inside leg because when you snap, you get out in 2 steps, especially if your hips are violent, right? So you see Jeudy, when he snaps, is 1, 2, and he's out of this thing right now. It's just 2 steps he snaps into it. Now, the main thing that I would say is you want to be violent with your hips, okay? If you snap with a different leg, but you're out of it in 3 steps, okay, fine, but can you cut on a dime and can you create some energy, and can you get separation? That's the whole goal. How much time can you eliminate at the top of the break? It's not about eliminating steps. It's about eliminating time. Can I eliminate time spent? And obviously, if you take a lot of steps, you're going to be there for more time. But the thing that guys get caught up in is, oh, I'm just going to try to get out of it in 2 steps, so I'm going to slow way down, then I'm going to break, right? You want to make sure that you're still running full. How much time can I eliminate while running full speed into the break, while creating energy with my hips? That's the goal. Not slow down and get out of it in 1 hard step and think that I'm hot shit because I got out of the break in 1 step. That's not even close to what we're trying to do. You got to sell vertical, number 1. Sell vertical, use your hips to decelerate like Jeudy does. Now, when you guys snap like this and you drop down and you got to work this throw by, you see how his hand is at the back of his shoulder. That's a point of control, right? So the point of control in this situation is back of the hip, back of the shoulder. Now, you don't want to extend and push. You want to just make sure that it's just like a quick little chop, right? You're snapping on the inside leg, and it's almost like you're putting your hand on a wall to decelerate you. Like you're snapping, you're putting your hand on a wall, and it happens at the exact same time. You don't want to be running for 2 yards with that hand on his shoulder because that's going to allow him to feel, okay, he's going to snap and throw me by. I'm going to decelerate this DB. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to drop my hips so I can make a break on this thing. So I snap at the same time I work this throw by, swat him off, snap my head around, then make this play. It's a great job here by Judy working this stop route. Let's watch it again full speed. One of the best routes of the year so far, snapping his head around, selling this vertical, and throwing by, snapping at the exact same time. All right, so now we're going to be looking at this route here by Juju. We're just going to mainly be talking about how, again, when you angle your upper half, that's what's going to get you some separation on a double move, right? He doesn't make this hard corner break, right, especially against like a situation where it's a two-high safety look where this turns into almost like one-on-one coverage. So when you break this thing to the corner, right, and I break up here and I go 1, 2, 3, and I break this thing off sudden, you see where Juju does? Commits his shoulders, commits his hips, because where's that DB going to be watching? He's going to be watching his torso. See, he doesn't even look back for the ball. Everybody puts such a big emphasis on eyes, right? But let's put a big emphasis on torso. Let's put a big emphasis on my upper half, because if I can commit my upper half, he's going to be watching my hips, right? If I can commit my upper half and my hips and still have speed to this break and angle it, that's what's going to get him to commit, right? And now when we break to this corner, you see he's here 1, 2, 3. It's a very sudden cut. He's not reaching out for this cut and leaning back. Everybody loves on a double move. They'll break to the post. Like if it's a post corner, a corner post, or out and up, they'll break to it and they'll go 1, 2, 3, and they'll reach out with this leg. You want to be sudden with this leg because the more sudden this cut can be, less time the DB has to react. So I just pop this thing in the grass right now, or pop this thing in the turf, and then I make sure that I accelerate out, because if I sell this thing properly, what's the DB going to do? He's going to speed turn. So I got to make sure that I cut this thing on a 45. How do I cut it better on a 45? I rip those arms around, and I rip that elbow, and I snap my eyes to commit my hips and my shoulders, because if I bow this thing around, DB has more time to play because he's doing a speed turn. So I got to make sure that I cut this thing at a hard 45. Quarterback gets this thing out quick. That's a great route here by Juju. Great job stretching out and making this play as well. Let's watch this thing again full speed. Great job selling the route with your upper half. That's most important. Let's sell with my shoulders, sell with my body, pop this thing off, sudden cut so the DB doesn't have time to react. Make sure I accelerate out and create energy with that cut so the DB's speed turn does not play a factor. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And also, guys, if you want to get better hands, like I said, you don't have a quarterback to throw to you, check out that link in the description. It says improve your hands in 30 days. I'll see you guys next time.